Mandos, this is the way. Okay, hello and welcome to the show. You're watching Mando's Banter Boxes, episode 5. I'm your host, Mandalorian, the X-Wing Jesus, and along with me today, we have C3 Barlow, human cyborg relation of a protocol droid. Who made these names so long, eh?
Definitely not me. I won't pick that.
And then we have down below, we have Ham Solo, smuggler of quality meat products.
As you were.
So, today's episode, we are going to be talking about Empire Strikes Back, the film. So, and just as we have it, I've got a new helmet as well. So I've got the complete outfit.
Yay.
No sleeves though. Well, there we go. Enough of that. But anyway, so I don't know about you guys, but this starts off with my one of the most famous bits with Hoth and the AT-ATs. One of my most favourite things of all the Star Wars growing up. Those AT-ATs were amazing. What do you guys think about Hoth? What's the most? What stands out the most for you guys?
I remember vivid memory of the grappling up underneath the AT-AT.
Yeah.
And then cutscene with his lightsaber. That's always stuck in my mind. Little grenade in, yeah, and then jump, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. You just think, wow, they're unstoppable. And when you see it squash that land speeder, it's an air speeder, but it's a snow speeder variant. So yeah, when you see that squash that, it's sort of like you think, wow, these things are huge. And he just goes, zzz, zzz, boom, done, hasn't he? Yeah. That's so cool, really, really good. But I don't know about you guys, but like I always got the scale wrong for the probe droid. You know, the one that they blow up on the finger. I thought that was huge as well. I thought that was sort of ATST size, the little chicken walker. I thought that was massive. I didn't realise that they were like human-sized sort of floating droids. I got the scale completely wrong for years and years on that one.
I suppose it's because the first time you see one, it's sort of going floating around the place, and then Chewie shoots it with his bowcaster from behind a rock kind of thing, and you see it from the droid's eye view. So you're looking over its shoulder, you think, "Oh, this must be massive." So I can see where you'd make that mistake.
Yeah, it's just really, really odd. Yeah, I love the coded language they use as well. It's just awesome.
One thing always sticking. How are they getting to all these different planets? Are they in probes or something? Then
the very opening sequence of Empire Strikes Back shows an Imperial Star Destroyer firing out loads of shells with probe droids in all around the galaxy.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was just them being launched or if they're in a casing of some kind to.
Yeah, there's a droid inside some sort of bullet or something. I don't know, a space bullet. I don't know. But yeah, it lands like a meteor, doesn't it? And then it gets out and goes.
Oh, right, yeah, of course it does.
Yes, it's in like the equivalent of an escape pod or something like that.
Oh yeah,
because I think Hoth it's not like done in a couple of days. I think you've got the Star Destroyer comes in the system. That's the very first shot. Fires the torpedo off and then bugger off again. So they're like literally just launching droids at all the planets and then going, "We found this one. Let's go over there and get that."
Yeah, it's probably only smugglers.
Gives them a chance to prepare the defences and stuff like that.
The thing I loved about Hoth for me though wasn't that bit. I mean, there's a bunch of really important stuff in Star Wars lore that happens on Hoth. You know, it's the first time you actually get to see someone use the Force other than sort of weak ass Jedi mind tricks. Luke actually manages to telekinetically pull his lightsaber out of a snowdrift. That's the first time the Force is shown to be doing anything other than sort of like, ooh, good luck, lucky charms and something like that.
The Wampa, it's weird that in the lore, that Wampa is actually called One Arm. It's like, how did that get called One Arm before it had only one arm? Was there some sort of other sort of Force presence going on there that was going, yeah, at some point you're only going to have one arm, so that's what we're going to call you. You know, known from birth as one arm.
Maybe it was a joke. Maybe all the other Wampers, because you only ever see one. Maybe all the other old Wampers have got one arms, and he's the only one with two.
But apparently there was a big story arc in the old books that
Yeah.
sort of went back and said there was this big story about one arm and how it was going to go about getting his vengeance on Luke. But I never read that. I heard about it, but never read it.
I think I've got it upstairs, actually.
I might have heard it from you, Dave.
There's a marked step change in the aesthetic between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back.
Mm.
You know, suddenly they've got a lot more money to spend. Who knew that would make a difference in special effects and whatnot? So I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Like you get.
Is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, you know, in Star Wars, that here's a monster. It's like a sock puppet with an eyeball, and in this one you've got like a proper old Wampa.
As it comes out the thing, it's just some dude with a sock puppet.
Exactly. Yeah.
They blew the punch on that.
But also just the way, you know, the Rebel base in the first one, it's kind of like it's quite shiny and new, and the Death Star is all shiny and new. And you look at the Rebel base on Hoth, and you're thinking, crikey, couldn't afford cleaners, but you could afford laser guns. You know,
right? I'm getting their priorities straight, aren't they?
Oh, totally. Yeah, that Empire's not going to dust itself.
Exactly. But, you know what I do like. The other thing I really like at the start of that is the banter between Leia, Han, and Chewie as well. There's a really good scene there where you know, she goes, "Oh, you scruffy-looking nerferd," and all that, and then Chewie laughs and he goes, "Oh, laugh it up, fuzzball," and he just going, "Oh man, I really loved that as a kid. That was my favourite little bit of dialogue in there, even though I can't remember what Leia actually said to him there fully, but." I just remember that being really cool, and that was the whole thing about Empire, was that, you know, it was all about relationships between Han and Leia, Luke and his dad, Luke and his friends, you know, and R2 and Yoda. So both just going, I really don't know that other one, and you know they have their little battle, don't they? When they first meet. Don't know what that was all about. Do you remember that?
Well, this is the problem. There's a couple of big fat problem holes of Empire as far as this. I've been saying this on our IMs backwards and forwards. There's a lot of Empire Strikes Back that you get a feeling that they were making it up as they went along. So the first bit, here's Yoda, here's R2. Who are you? I don't know. Ooh, that kind of thing. And I know it's almost controversial to say it, but even as I don't know, I must have been 8, 9 years old, going to the cinema for the first time, and at the end of it, the big reveal. Spoiler warning if you've not already seen Empire Strikes Back, but if you haven't seen Empire Strikes Back, what are you watching this show for anyway? But never mind. I'm your father. There's a big universe out there, and the only two, you know, here's the hero, and he on a farm in Tatooine, and he has a bit of a jape, and he ends up here, and lo and behold, it turns out to be Vader's son. What a massive coincidence! Who could have seen that happening? You know what I mean? It's like, even as an 8-year-old kid, I'm thinking, really? How did that work out? And you know, I think that's even before I was starting to wonder about, hang on a minute, isn't he a robot? Because you know, when you're a kid, you think Darth Vader's a robot. So you know,
I never thought about any of that.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm just thinking.
I did. You know, stormtroopers. I thought, are they robots? Are they aliens? You know,
actually, Mandalorian, you've got the Dark Troopers. They are robots. That's a convenient get out, isn't it? And that's something that I've never, even as a kid, I never really felt very comfortable with, especially with that whole Jedi learning bit where he has to go down on Dagobah. They have to go down that weird cavern and stuff and slice his own head off, and that's where.
That was odd as a kid. I just really didn't get that at all. Yeah. Mainly because the video went all fuzzy at that bit. What's going on? I can't see properly. You know, them big lines that go.
Put the tracking out.
Also, what I like about Hoth as well is that we see a couple of more variants of stormtroopers or sort of pilots and things like that. You've got the snow troopers in their nice little dresses, and then you've got also the attack drivers as well. And unlike General Veers, he's not in Stormtrooper gear. He's in, you know, another sort of variant armor as well. It's like building sort of like the history and sort of like flavour of the Imperial forces. It's not just, oh, we got these Stormtroopers again, and then just filling it all up with just the same stuff. It's not, you know, like you're saying, Dave, they've redesigned everything to fit a purpose. It's actually works really, really well.
With Empire, it's really nice at how they bring, with like the first movie we had, all the major action was up in space, the fighters, everything we love, and then they bring it to the planet where you have this trench warfare. You know, that's again, it's harking back to a lot of the inspiration for Star Wars from the kind of World War II dogfights. That's where he got all of his inspiration for the space battles. Hence why we have milky space. But yeah, it really brought it down into a different world. You know, a different level of the Star Wars world.
Yeah, that's it. And then obviously, like bulking out those space forces as well, because you had the TIE bombers, didn't you? Like when they were on the asteroids, they were going along with the TIE bombers and bombing the surface of the asteroids to try and flush them out, that was really cool. But that whole asteroid scene was brilliant as well. But I think for me, like what really makes Empire and then Jedi after that is the music. The Imperial March is just in my head all the time when I'm looking at Star Wars and that. When we're playing little spaceships on the tables and all that sort of stuff, that's in my head all the time. And that's the Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? You know, Vader walking around the Star Destroyer, choking the hell out of everyone. That was really cool. But like you're saying, like Dagobah was like a complete opposite to Hoth. Really, it was wet, it was dark, massive contrast, and it was weird, to see, like you're saying about force powers. Yoda takes that one step further and gets Luke's X-wing out the swamp, and that is why you fail.
Even the reveal of Yoda is done brilliantly cagily. Like, we know what Yoda looks like now, or whether it's big or small Yoda. Baby Yoda, Gru, whatever. Still can't say it right. You've got all these various things going on with Yoda's sort of like saying, "Oh, I'm not Yoda. Don't know what you mean, Yoda. Some other guy, not me." And then sort of like he gets this shame. You're thinking all the way along. Oh, maybe he isn't. Yeah, so he's just the only other person in this. But he'll take him off to Yoda in a minute, and then it all turns out he is Yoda, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but like I was saying a minute ago, Dave, weird coincidences happen. He crashes on a planet. We're talking about a planet, and Yoda is there. You know what I mean? It's like the ways of the Force are mystical and beyond that understanding.
Wind it back a few seconds. He got told to fly to a swampy planet by a ghost, and he just happens to land 10 feet away from a Muppet's house. Everything's fine.
It's amazing you didn't see the guy actually standing there like that.
Yeah. Like Yoda checking his watch. You're late. He's so grumpy.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we pretty much covered Dagobah there. But so the other thing before we head over to Cloud City and mine some Tabana gas, we got the bounty hunters on the bridge of the Star Destroyer that, the Empire can't catch Han and Luke and all. What is that? It's Han, isn't it, that they're really up, that he gets the bounty hunters to go after. So
that's the Falcon. It's the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
He's saying, catch me the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
Doesn't seem to be worried about the people, from what I remember. It's just the ship. So it's kind of like, okay, what's it got? Overdue speeding tickets or something? I don't know.
Well, it escaped the spice mines, didn't it, at Kessel?
Oh, yeah, so they're still holding on to that. Wasn't that like 20 years ago by this point?
We meet all those bounty hunters, and they're all really cool. Obviously, you've got Boba Fett as the main badass one, because Vader's going, oh, look, please don't disintegrate anyone. I really need to speak to my son before you do that.
You wonder what the backstory is
Go
there.
over the top again. You know, we can't have that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the weirdest thing about the bounty hunters, I mean, as a kid, they were just so exciting to look at because, you know, you've got a giant lizard, ooh, and you've got something that looks a bit like a beetle, yeah, and a weird robot, cool, and Boba Fett.
Orlom always sort of looked like a 3PO variant. So you kind of thought, oh, is he an evil C3PO, or, you know, I think that was a cheapie. They just recast some parts and painted them different colour, put a different head on.
Exactly. And then you've got Dengar, who looks like he's recovering from surgery. How dangerous is that? He couldn't afford decent health insurance. I don't know. What's that about? But the weirdest thing is so much myth and lore about all of those bounty hunters. And I think they say, like, literally Boba Fett's the only one that gets a line. And it's like a few words. And then you've got Bosk just hissing at some poor grumpy lieutenant down below him saying, we don't need their scum. It's like, cheers. So, yeah, bounty hunters. So much excitement around them for them doing so little.
I know. Don't really have any action in there either, do they? So, yeah, we get to Cloud City and we meet Lando for the first time. And, wow, that was pretty cool. I love Lando in that film. It's brilliant. But it's like, you know, you kind of think, oh, he's betrayed him. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, he's throwing his line with them as well. And you're like, oh, he had his hands tied behind his back. He's trying to do the best for his people and all this sort of thing. But he was a really good character in that, you know. And you know, and that, I think he's been a good character in Rebels and in Solo as well. I think they've done really, really well with it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's a kid. You know, you first meet him and you think, oh, he's a bit shady, and they carry that on for as long as they possibly can. It turns out he was shady. Who knew? But you know, he's trying to do the best. He's the first education I got in life as to what a difficult decision must look like. It's like you've got some bloke here with a gas mask and a laser sword who wants to basically stick you like a stuffed pig unless you do as you're told. On the other hand, you've got your mate over there that actually he nicked your ship. So, you know, those are options.
Yeah. And we see, like, for the second time in 2 movies, people getting tortured in Star Wars.
I know. Terrible.
You're in the first one, Han in this one as well. And you actually see him getting tortured as well, which is pretty hardcore, isn't it?
They didn't even ask any questions. What's that about? So, I mean,
yeah.
The logic behind that, we're going to spend a lot of time and effort just putting you on basically a sunbed and turning it up to max, because that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
And just giving you an all-over tan, and then we're not going to ask any questions. You're going to come back. So maybe he just misunderstood, and it's not Cloud City wasn't a mining facility. Maybe it was just like a spa or something. He just chose the deluxe package and didn't realise how deep that treatment went.
But I mean, the whole not asking any questions, it does show how dark the Empire can be. Its enforcers, its interrogators, just willing to hurt somebody, but knowing they've got a plan that next time he's in the seat, he's going to tell them anything they want to know. He knows what's going to happen if he doesn't. He's got first-hand knowledge. So dark, very dark.
Yeah. But that's why it's such a good film as well. You know, the final outcome of the film is like there are no good endings to any of the story arcs in that film. It's just pretty horrific, really. And you go, wow, I've got to see the next film because this can't finish there, can it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are so many questions like Luke losing a hand. What the hell's happening there? You know, it's the first time you see most of the principal cast back in the same room. I mean, Luke and Leia are sort of like separated from 90% of the film, just after that really awkward kiss. That at that stage, let's not kid ourselves. You know, we didn't know they were family at that stage. They've all been on, And, you know, she was getting jiggy with a pirate out in space, but, you know, she's back now and she's got old handless there, you know, plenty of options open. You know, it could be a very strange menage a trois, especially since the other blokes turned into a load of slate down on down in the back of Boba Fett's ship. The most ridiculous thing, the question that everyone really wants to know about Empire Strikes Back above everything else, is what's going on with Lando and the wardrobe. Because at the end, he's wearing Han's clothes. Now, much as I want to get rescued by you guys, if
that's
I
Empire Strikes. That's Return of the Jedi, mate, isn't it?
No, but it's at the end of the final sequence of Empire Strikes Back is Lando and Chewie flying off to find Han. Lo and behold, he's wearing a waistcoat and a white shirt. It's like, hang on, you were into capes a minute ago. I'm not seeing any cape. Wait a minute, have you just nicked?
Yeah, but maybe let's reverse that. Maybe Han was dressed up in Lando's clothes.
That might explain
for all that time instead. You know, let's reverse that. And he's got back in there. That's my shirt. That's my favourite shirt and a waistcoat. Oh,
I've seen it in 20 years. I'm sure it will still fit. Yeah, and that probably explains why Han's always so scruffy, because he's wearing clothes that aren't his. You've solved one of the big problems there, Ian. One of the big problems.
Because we know from Solo that he had an extensive wardrobe in the Millennium Falcon, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he goes through a lot of his outfits in Solo, so it's quite good. But like, you know, when we look at the carbonite scene, putting him in Han Solo in carbonite, I found that so shocking when he goes like that on the floor. You're going, whoa, that's a hell of a shock to the system, that one. And then, oh, doop, 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 he's still alive in there. And you're going, oh, brilliant. But like that whole thing, though, when the slab goes down, you're going, whoa, is that the end of Han?
Wow. Yeah, you see the scream in the face. You can only imagine how painful that was.
And all the snot.
Yeah.
The snot and dribble go, yeah.
20 years later in The Mandalorian, he's got like a ship with like
about 5 or 6 years in reality, isn't it?
Well, it felt longer.
He's oh, if you just stand over there, I've got this spray tan.
Yeah. Again, it's the Cloud City spot. Well, I didn't know one thing. Could this be?
And then we got to go for the duel, right? So we haven't got much time left on this one. So we'll talk about the duel, and then so there's a, you know, we have a lightsaber fight. It's not great, though, is it? But once again, we do see force powers chucking and moving things around again. So there's a big theme there where they go, oh, what else can we show with the force? We've got these ghosts. What else can we do? We'll have people moving stuff around. And it's sort of like the main thing. Luke does it, Yoda does it, Vader does it in a lightsaber duel. It's kind of it's their thing for Empire, because we don't really see much of it other than that, do we? With the moving around of things, do we?
The other thing about that duel, Darth Vader and hide and seek. That's the only time in Star Wars lore where you see Darth Vader playing hide and seek, and he's playing hide and seek with something he knows to be his son. So does that mean he's making up for lost time? Maybe
he does it in Jedi as well, where he's hiding under the stairs, doesn't he?
No, that's where Luke's hiding, because you know, by that stage Vader's wise to his tricks. But yeah, in Empire, he's the one doing the hiding. Luke's going, "Ooh, what's behind here? What's behind here?" And it's like, "Raw, found you."
So then we get the "I am your father" and all that, and that was a bit mind blowing, wasn't it? We've already discussed that a little bit. I'm just looking at the clock counting down. We've got 2 minutes left before it cuts out. So, and then it goes off again. And like I was saying about the Death Star in the last episode that we did, there's a giant hollow space in the middle of a facility. It's like a Star Wars architect has gone, what we need, great big empty space, and then fall out the bottom of it. There we go. So got to wrap it up there, though. I'm afraid we could have gone on for quite a bit more, but for for this show, that's been really good. And this is the way.
Mendo's, the